Well, hello, guys and girls out there, wherever you are. Welcome to another episode of Movie Passion. And today we're going to take a look at Demolition Man. Yes, Demolition Man is considered to be some kind of a weird, cheesy action slash science fiction movie. But nonetheless, it is a very fun and enjoyable movie to watch, and it's very entertaining. So, what is this movie all about? Well, it's about this Sergeant John Spartan, who is also known for demolishing a lot of stuff while he is doing his job. That's why everybody is calling him the Demolition Man. So he and basically the entire LAPD are now trying to capture probably the biggest criminal in LA history, Simon Phoenix, who just recently kidnapped a whole school bus of people and is now keeping them hostage. So John Spartan goes in all by himself, even though he's not supposed to. He finds Simon Phoenix, they both fight. Phoenix sets the whole place on fire, which leads to a massive explosion. And after that, the firefighters find a whole lot of dead bodies laying around everywhere, and those are unfortunately the hostages. So now everybody thinks that John Spartan is kind of responsible for their death because he disobeyed orders and went in all by himself in order to capture Simon Phoenix. So now both Simon Phoenix and John Spartan have to go to prison. But it's not a normal prison, it's a cryo prison. And there is also some kind of a cryostasis rehabilitation program going on because while they are frozen, their personalities are being altered through synaptic suggestion. So they kind of brainwash people in order to make sure that they won't commit any more crimes once they get out of prison. So it reminds me a little bit of this weird experiment from A Clockwork Orange. And it again raises the question, is it okay to mess with someone's brain and change someone's personality just to make sure that they won't commit any more crime? I don't know. But I do have to say that the whole cryo prison thing is the biggest problem that I have with this movie. I mean, just the idea of a cryo prison is just so bizarre. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Yes, on the top surface, a cryo prison might sound like a good idea. You know, the prisoners are frozen. You can keep more prisoners at a much smaller space. You don't have to worry about people escaping or prison riots and stuff like that. But first of all, think about how expensive this technology would be. It would cost way too much. And also think about how much it would cost to maintain a cryo prison. Compare that to a normal prison and think about the amount of electricity that you would need in order to keep a cryo prison up and running the entire time. And again, compare that to a normal prison. It would just cost way too much. Where should all the extra money come from? And then we also have the problem that a cryo prison isn't really a punishment for everybody. You know, if we look at, for example, John Spartan, he is being taken away from his family. He doesn't get the chance to see his daughter growing up. So for him, this cryo prison is a punishment. But if we compare that to the psycho criminal Simon Phoenix, who has no friends, no family, no loved ones, he couldn't care less if he gets cryogenically frozen or not. For him, this cryo prison is a huge joke and not a punishment whatsoever. Then I never understood why the amount of time someone has to spend in this cryo prison um, varies depending on the crime someone committed. You know, they say, okay, the bigger the crime, the longer you have to stay in prison. Well, that only makes sense if it would be a real prison, because in a real prison you can say the more time you spend in prison, the less time you have left to spend in freedom. But that doesn't apply to a cryo prison, because if you are cryogenically frozen, you also don't age. And if you don't age, you don't lose any time that you can spend in freedom. You know, the amount of time you can spend in freedom is the same amount that you still had when you got in. You know, it makes no sense. Also, those prisoners are usually not awake, so they also don't feel the amount of time they spend in this prison, unlike a normal prison. So again, it's not really a punishment. It doesn't matter if it's 1 year or 100 years, both feels exactly the same. It both feels like just a couple of minutes. So for those inmates, this cryo prison feels like time travel. And that's what makes it so stupid and idiotic. It's like saying, hey, you committed a crime, so we're gonna punish you right now by sending you 50 years into the future. What? What kind of a punishment is that? And again, if you don't have a family or loved ones or something like that, it's not a punishment. It's actually a reward. You know, this person committed a terrible crime, and thanks to that, he gets the chance to see the future and the evolution of mankind and technology. What kind of a weird, fucked up justice system is that? Makes no sense. It just doesn't work. And, you know, it's just proof that Americans will never be able to come up with a prison that really works. I mean, we know that there are actual real life normal prisons don't make any sense whatsoever, so why should their cryo prison make more sense? You know, prisons, it's apparently one of those things that Americans just can't do. Yeah, but I guess that's enough about the cryo prison. You got the point. So let's continue talking about the movie. So the rest of the movie takes place in the year 2032, and Simon Phoenix managed to escape during his parole. And the police is not capable of capturing Simon Phoenix. They are not capable of handling a situation like this because the world has changed. The world has become a place of peace and love and harmony, and there is no more violence and no more crime. So that's why the police officers aren't trained for those kind of situations anymore, because there aren't situations like this anymore. And you know, the thing is, they made everything that is considered bad illegal. You know, things like contact sports, meat, spicy food, smoking, alcohol, uneducational toys, even things like cursing are now illegal. And for somehow, by making all those stuff or all those things illegal, it somehow led to a world of love and peace and harmony, which is something that I still don't understand. And I also wonder, how are those people still alive? Because according to them, even things like salt are illegal, but our body needs salt. So, yeah, I don't know how this really works. But there is this old police officer who knows Simon Phoenix, and he also knows about John Spartan. So they come up with the idea of defrosting John Spartan in order to capture Simon Phoenix. And yeah, there is also Lenina Huxley, played by Sandra Bullock, and she is kind of obsessed with the 20th century and with violence and action movies and stuff like this. So it's no wonder that she is very interested in John Spartan. And this is like the very basic, the basic plot of this movie. But there is definitely more to the story. So if you don't want to hear any more about the story, then you should stop right now. I won't spoil too much, but I will continue talking about more about the story. So there is, of course, a reason why Simon Phoenix managed to escape, other than the people are being totally dumb. You see, not everybody wants to live in a world like this. There are people who still want to have the freedom to say whatever they want. They want to have the freedom of speech. They want to be able to eat whatever they want. So they just want to have more freedom. They are not necessarily bad or criminals. They just, want to have more freedoms. And those people are forced to live in the sewers. They are called scrubs. And the person responsible for this new future, Raymond Cocteau, wants to get rid of these scrubs. So he came up with the idea of changing the program for Simon Phoenix and making or turning Simon Phoenix into some kind of a Simon Phoenix 2.0. So Simon Phoenix learned a lot of new abilities while he was frozen. So he now knows a lot of martial art styles and combat styles and techniques. He knows about all the computer systems, and he also knows about all the passwords and whatsoever. So he is now kind of a quote-unquote supervillain. And Raymond Cocteau also performed some kind of an inception on Simon Phoenix. He brainwashed Simon Phoenix and implanted the idea that he has to kill a guy named Edgar Friendly. Why? Because Edgar Friendly is the leader of the Scrubs. And by getting rid of the leader, you also get rid of the Scrubs altogether. So this is like the main plot. But of course, Simon Phoenix doesn't want to be controlled by anybody. He doesn't want to play by the rules. So things don't really go as planned. Let's just say it like that. So, in conclusion, it is a very funny and very entertaining movie to watch with the right balance between action and comedy. I mean, there is a lot of action going on, a lot of things that explode, and the fighting scenes are good. And I do have to say, I have never seen someone getting beaten up with a television. And then there is also this gross scene with the eyeball. But then again, there's all those funny things in the movie. For example, the thing with the 3 seashells and the rat burger, and the fact that Lenina Huxley always struggles with phrases from the 20th century and she always gets them wrong. So instead of saying, let's go blow this guy away, she just says, let's blow this guy. And because cursing is illegal in this future, as I mentioned earlier, there is also this running gag that throughout the entire movie, whenever someone is cursing, you always hear this weird, obnoxious beeping device somewhere in the background. So it's quite funny. And I do have to say it's my most favorite Sylvester Stallone movie and my most favorite Wesley Snipes movie. Yes, I like this movie better than Blade. And I'm really glad that Simon Phoenix is played by Wesley Snipes instead of Jackie Chan. And it's also fun to know that there is the scene where they go and eat something at Taco Bell, because there used to be some kind of a weird franchise war, and now all the major restaurants are Taco Bell. But when the movie came out, they didn't have Taco Bell in the UK. So for the UK version, they changed Taco Bell into Pizza Hut. So they redid a few scenes. So in the UK version or in the European version, it's Pizza Hut, and in the US version, it's Taco Bell. So yeah, I really love this movie. I always love watching it, and I can only highly recommend this movie. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next episode of Movie Passion. Bye.